I tried scalping once, lasted about 40 minutes before I felt like I needed a nap and a therapist. Not because it was fast, because it was boring. And boring in the worst way. The kind of boring where you're doing something that requires total focus but gives you nothing back. No story, no arc, no this is building towards something. Just click, wait, exit, move on. If this sounds familiar, you should probably subscribe. You're already here anyway. I kept waiting for it to feel like trading. It didn't. It felt like sorting mail. And the whole time, my brain kept trying to narrate what was happening, trying to find meaning in the movement, trying to make the trade matter. That's when I realized I wasn't built for this. Not because I couldn't do it, but because I needed it to mean something. And scalping doesn't offer that. It just offers repetition. And if repetition isn't enough for you, scalping will break you quietly. I remember watching Jenna scalp once. She sat in a voice call with a few of us, completely silent for 2 hours. Not because she was focused in some dramatic way. She just wasn't talking, wasn't reacting, wasn't narrating. Someone asked her how the session was going. She said, "Fine." That was it. Fine. No excitement, no frustration, no update. She closed the session, stretched, and said she was done for the day. Someone asked if she made money. She said, "Yeah, a little." And that was the entire emotional experience. I remember thinking, that sounds awful. Not because it didn't work, but because it sounded like the most emotionally unrewarding thing you could do with your time. And I think that's the part most people don't admit. They say scalping is hard because it's fast, but it's not hard because it's fast. It's hard because it gives you nothing to feel. Scalping doesn't reward you for being smart. It rewards you for being neutral. And neutral is the one thing most traders don't know how to be. We want to feel right. We want the trade to validate us. We want the win to mean we're good at this, and the loss to mean something went wrong that we can fix. But scalping doesn't care. It just says, setup showed up, you took it worked or it didn't, move on. No story, no lesson, no closure. Just the next one. And if you can't handle that, scalping will feel like torture. I used to think I could train myself into it. Like maybe if I just did it enough, I'd stop needing the trade to feel important. I was wrong. I remember one morning I tried to scalp for an hour. I told myself I'd just follow the setups. No emotion, no attachment, just execution. 10 minutes in, I was already narrating. This one feels clean. That rejection was weak, probably going lower. Okay, this is setting up nicely, let's see if it holds. I wasn't analyzing, I was storytelling, turning price movement into a plot I could follow. And the second I started doing that, I started caring. And the second I started caring, I started hesitating. And the second I started hesitating, I was done. I exited everything, closed the charts, and just sat there annoyed. Not at the market, at myself. Because I couldn't stop making it mean something. My mentor laughed when I told her that. She said, "Yeah, most people can't." I said, "Can't what?" She said, "Stop talking to themselves while they trade." And she was right. I talk to myself constantly. Internal commentary, play-by-play, narrative. She said, "Scalping doesn't work if you're having a conversation with the market. It only works if you're just there." I said, "That sounds boring." She said, "It is." And then she just looked at me like, "So what are you going to do about it?" I think that's the thing people don't realize about scalping. It's not a strategy. It's a personality test. It doesn't ask if you're fast. It asks if you can sit in silence without needing the outcome to validate you. And most people can't. Not because they're bad traders, but because they're wired to need feedback, meaning, closure. And scalping doesn't offer any of that.
I knew a guy named Marcus who tried to scalp for 3 months. He had the setups down, his entries were clean, his risk was tight. But every session he'd finish and feel nothing. Not bad, not good, just flat. And it drove him crazy. He kept saying, "I don't even know if I'm improving." Because there was no arc, no progress story, just the same routine every day with no emotional payoff. He eventually went back to swing trading, not because he failed, just because he needed the trade to feel like an event. Scalping didn't give him that, so he stopped. And honestly, I think that was the healthiest decision he made. There's this moment in scalping where you realize the trade doesn't care about you. Not in a mean way, just in a neutral way. The setup appears, you take it, it works or it doesn't, the market moves on. And if you're someone who needs the market to respond to your analysis, your timing, your effort, scalping will feel like rejection every single day because it doesn't respond. It just moves. And either you're in sync with it or you're not. I remember Sarah saying once that the best scalping days were the ones she forgot about. Not because they were bad, but because nothing felt important enough to remember. She said, "If I finish the session and I can't recall a single trade, that's when I know I did it right." I thought that sounded depressing, but she wasn't depressed. She was calm, steady, unbothered. She said, "The second I start remembering trades, I know I was narrating. And if I was narrating, I wasn't neutral." And that's the thing. Scalping exposes how much you need the trade to be about you. If you need to feel smart, you'll overanalyze. If you need to feel right, you'll hesitate. If you need to feel rewarded, you'll overtrade. Scalping only works if you need nothing. Most people size too big when they scalp, not because they're greedy, but because they're bored. They need the trade to matter, so they make it matter by adding risk. And the second they do that, the body reacts. Chest tightens, thoughts speed up, exit feels urgent. I did that for weeks. Told myself I was scaling up. Really, I was just trying to make the trade feel important. Because if it didn't feel important, what was the point? My mentor told me once, the trade changes your mood if you're not scalping. You're gambling on your ability to stay calm. That annoyed me for weeks, mostly because it was true. I wasn't trading setups, I was testing whether I could handle the discomfort without interfering. And most of the time I couldn't. I think the hardest part of scalping isn't the speed, it's the silence. You sit there, you wait, setup shows up, you click, you wait again, you exit. And your brain keeps trying to make it mean something, trying to find the lesson, the pattern, the improvement. But there's nothing to find. It's just repetition. And if repetition isn't enough for you, scalping will make you miserable. I knew someone named Chris who scalped for 2 years. He was good at it, consistent, profitable, but he hated it. Not because he was losing, but because it felt like work, boring, repetitive, emotionally flat work. He said, "I feel like I'm clocking in and clocking out, and I don't even get to feel proud when it works." He stopped eventually, went back to longer time frames, started enjoying trading again. And I remember thinking, that's not failure, that's self-awareness. Scalping doesn't fail people, it reveals them. It shows you exactly how much silence you can tolerate, how often you need to feel right, how badly you want the trade to mean something. If you can execute without narrating, lose without reacting, and repeat without needing validation, scalping works. If you need the trade to give you something back, pride, clarity, adrenaline, it won't. I think most people who try scalping are hoping it'll make them better traders, faster, sharper, more disciplined. But scalping doesn't make you better, it just makes you honest. It strips away the story, the drama, the narrative you tell yourself about why you trade. And if that narrative is the thing keeping you interested, scalping will feel like punishment. I remember one session where I took 12 trades in 30 minutes. All small, all boring, most break even. I finished and felt absolutely nothing. Not bad, not good, just done. And I sat there thinking, is this it? Is this what people mean when they say mechanical trading? Because if it is, I don't want it. Not because it doesn't work, but because I need more than this. My mentor said once, you don't have to scalp. You just have to know if you're avoiding it because it's hard or because it's not for you. I said, what's the difference? She said, one is ego, the other is honesty. And I still think about that. If you've tried scalping and hated it, leave a comment. I know you have. I don't scalp anymore. Not because I couldn't, but because I realized I trade better when the trade has time to breathe, when I can sit with it, watch it develop, feel the tension build. Scalping doesn't offer that, and I'm okay with that now. But it took me a long time to admit it, because admitting it felt like losing, like I wasn't disciplined enough, wasn't neutral enough, wasn't good enough. But really, I just needed the trade to mean something, and scalping doesn't.
I think the people who scalp well are the ones who don't need trading to give them anything emotional. They show up, they execute, they leave. No story, no arc, no closure, just the routine. And if that sounds boring to you, it probably is. But boring isn't bad, it's just honest. Most people think scalping is about speed. It's not. It's about how much silence you can sit in without trying to fill it. How many losses you can take without needing to understand why. How many wins you can have without needing to celebrate. And if you can't do that, scalping won't work. Not because you're bad at it, but because you're not built for it. And that's fine. You don't have to be. I think the real lesson isn't learn to scalp better. It's know yourself well enough to choose the kind of trading that doesn't turn you into your worst habits. If scalping makes you narrate, overtrade, or need validation, don't scalp. If it makes you calm, neutral, and steady, maybe it's for you. But don't force it, because scalping doesn't reward effort. It rewards alignment. And if you're not aligned with it, it'll just make you tired. I still think about Jana sometimes. How she sat there for 2 hours and said nothing. How she finished and felt fine. I don't know if I'll ever be like that, and I'm not sure I want to be. But I respect it, because it's honest. She didn't need the trade to mean anything, and that's why it worked. I don't know if scalping is for you, but I know how you'll find out. You'll sit down, you'll take the setups, you'll try not to narrate, and either you'll feel calm or you'll feel like you're suffocating. And whichever one it is, that's your answer. If this sounded familiar, subscribe. You already made it this far.